Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and today we are going to do a Seattle real estate news breakdown. This article today is titled Seattle Area's Home Prices Take the Biggest Ever 12-Month Leap. This article was originally published in the Seattle Times on June 29th, which is today, the day we're recording this, so putting a little extra pressure on you guys to get this out fast. This article, written by Heidi Glover of the Seattle Times, talks about the Case-Shiller Index. And in this index, every single month, they are taking a rolling 3-month average of some of the top metro areas in the United States. And that's what we're going to be focusing on here in this article. As we go through the article here, I'm going to read the article, not in its entirety, but most of it. It's a fairly short article. I'm going to add some context and pause as we go through it, and then I'm going to add a little bit more of my thoughts as we get to the end. So let's jump into it. What a difference 2 years can make. And I agree, I have a 2-year-old daughter, and 2 years ago, I didn't have a 2-year-old daughter. Around this time, in 2019, Seattle area home prices had dipped and price growth nationwide was slowing. Let's pause. 2019 was the first year Seattle had experienced a pullback in quite some time. And we had just gotten out of the fastest growing city title. We held that for almost 2 years, up until about mid-2018. So 2019, we had seen prices dropping, and it was like 8 months in a row, if I remember correctly. And if we look at that point, people were getting houses below asking price. People were seeing prices going down. We were essentially chasing the market down to figure out where it was at. And a large part of that was because interest rates had gone up over 5% and or hovered right around 5%, which severely impacted affordability. Rates were kind of in the upper 3s, low 4s, which was record low territory at that time. Now, if I say that, people get it quoted upper 3s, low 4s on an interest rate. They think they're getting gouged. But at that time, those were really good rates. And to see rates jump over a percentage point, that was a huge deal. If we cut to 2021, as the article suggests, Seattle has clocked another month of the 3rd fastest jump in prices in the nation, as home prices here and across the country have climbed at record-breaking pace. And we'll jump back to this, and there's actually comments about it later in the article. The cost of a single-family home in Seattle metro area climbed 20.2% in April from the same time a year earlier. This is the region's biggest ever 12-month leap, according to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Home Price Index that was released on Tuesday. So this is impressive. And I'm honestly like, wow, this is 3rd place, right? 3rd place is 20%. If we look at 1st and 2nd place, we're talking about Phoenix and San Diego, and they jumped 22.3% and 21.6% respectively. Prices are up in all 20 metro areas that the index tracks, so all the major indexes, so all of the major metro areas. For more than a year, a flood of buyer demand, a tight supply of homes, and super low interest rates have fueled wild growth in the housing market. While there are some recent signs buyer demand could finally be slipping, things are still red hot in April. And again, we're looking back. That's the most recent data that we have from the Case-Shiller Index. We are in June, almost July, and the housing market is still hot, but it is slowing a little bit nationally. And it is, I think, slowing a little bit locally, but at the same time, it's really hard to predict too far in advance. But what we're seeing is, at least what I'm seeing, is not everything is getting 1 million showings anymore, and not everything is getting 20, 30 offers. And I think we're gonna talk about that, but I think that we're starting to see maybe 5 to 10 offers on houses, which is still a lot, but it does start to dampen the competition, because I think that there are people that have gotten into homes, some people sitting on the sidelines, and I think that is shifting things a little bit. But still, if you have any competition, you're still gonna see prices staying consistent or going up. Continuing in the article, prices climbed faster in Seattle than nationwide, even as national costs jumped 14.6%. I mentioned earlier we'd come back to this. 14.6% growth nationwide. It's literally the highest reading in more than 30 years of the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller data. The index reports a 3-month rolling average of home prices, and the data reflects prices across parts of King, Pierce, and Snohomish counties. So the Seattle metro area is a fairly large area. I don't get into Pierce County much, but I do a lot of work in King County and Snohomish counties. And so I'm experiencing firsthand the hottest parts of the market, at least price-wise. So Snohomish County and King County are going to be the most expensive. But Pierce County, in its own right, is hotter. It's just a little bit more affordable. Seattle's sizzling housing market hasn't hit everyone equally, with many people priced out and first-time homebuyers facing heartbreak as they try to compete with home shoppers ready to lay down large amounts of cash and waive protections. And I think it's definitely hard for a first-time home buyer to stomach some of the risk associated with removing contingencies, waiving things in their contract, putting down non-refundable earnest money. There are lots of things that people are doing right now to make themselves stand apart from other buyers. And some of those things involve some risk, specifically to their earnest money or good faith deposit. And quick side note, I will link up a post or video that I made a few years ago on how to win multiple offer situations. It's a 20+ minute video. So if you really want to get into the tactics of what you can do to set yourself apart for success, going to link that video up down below in the description for your convenience. According to the article, and in my experience, the toughest markets have been outside of the city of Seattle, particularly in Pierce County, which I mentioned. This spring, buyers looked north too, which is where you'd be in Snohomish County. In April and May, home prices were up 17 to 22% year over year in parts of Snohomish County and Pierce County, compared with jumps of 9 to 11% in Seattle, according to Zillow. Every month, you're gonna hear data from me if you subscribe to the channel here about Snohomish County, King County, and the Seattle metro housing market. And these are the things that I'm talking about and have been talking about, that we're seeing a lot of growth countywide in King County and Snohomish County, but Seattle isn't growing quite as fast. Coming back to the article to finish up here, the new leaders are mostly towns all over Snohomish County, from Snohomish itself to Mill Creek, Lake Stevens, Linwood, Mount Lake Terrace, and Bothell, said Zillow economist Jeff Tucker in a statement. Just how long can all of this last? CoreLogic Deputy Chief Economist Selma Happ predicts price increases will stay in the double digits throughout the rest of the year. And I guess to that I would say, why not? It's been a crazy year. We've had some of the lowest inventory we've had in a long time, although if we look back at 2017 and early 2018 in Seattle, we saw very similar numbers of homes available percentage-wise, but we're seeing so much demand, and I think people are even more desperate, maybe, than they were back then to buy a house and have even more fear of missing out, which is maybe contributing to some of the even more dramatic amounts being put over the asking price. I think looking back to 2016 and 17 and early 18 when it was super, super hot before, and we were in the running for hottest market in the country for almost 2 years straight, we had very similar terms and contracts, waived contingencies, non-refundable earnest money, things like that. But the biggest difference has been the amount that people are paying over asking price, percentage-wise. We were seeing, 8 to 10% over asking price. Now we're seeing like 12 to 13% as our average numbers. And we're seeing, and I'm seeing, people putting 30, 35, even 40% over asking price on homes, which is absolutely crazy to me. I don't know how we get there. But people are desperate and they want a house. So competition in the area, Seattle area, super, super fierce. I think it is slowing just a little bit. I don't know if that's encouraging or not to any buyers out there because it's still very, very competitive. But I think it's starting to shift a tiny bit so that buyers have a little bit more of an opportunity. But again, it's still competitive. So you're still going to be facing multiple offer situations in the large part. And I think that's going to continue to push prices up as this article suggests. So again, if you find yourself watching this video and you do want to know about what's going on in the Seattle market, the King County, Snohomish County markets in general, just kind of the Seattle metro area, I do publish updates every single month where we talk about the Northwest Multiple Listing Service data, and I share my thoughts and perspectives about what I'm encountering as a real estate agent in King and Snohomish counties. So if you want to see those updates on a regular basis, please consider subscribing to my channel after you finish this video. And if you want to talk about your situation, if you're thinking about buying or maybe you're thinking about selling and capitalizing on the market, I'd love to be a resource for you.